It's Talking Gaming here, and today I'm bringing you another discussion by myself, actually. I don't have Robotnik with me, and I don't have DKG with me because they kind of like chickened out. Well, not Robotnik. The family problems thing. He's not back yet. But today, my discussion is going to be
You
on
what, mate?
Oh, what the frick are you doing here?
I'm just here to do my discussion. What are you doing here?
Doing my discussion?
I'm pretty sure I'm the one who's gonna do this discussion.
I'm pretty sure you told me that you couldn't do discussion, so for me to do discussion on myself.
How about we make a deal, mate? We both do the discussion,
Let's negotiate.
Alright.
Do you have any other deals?
No. Let's start this discussion.
Good idea. I agree.
Okay, so today it's gonna be similar to our our favorite multiplayer discussion, where basically we just talked about why we love the games that we play all together, multiplayer of course, but we're going to be focusing a bit more like hardcore fighters in the sense of Tekken, Street Fighter, and just stuff like that. And so, to start off our discussion here, we're going to talk about Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. So, Mr. Falcon Gaming, any thoughts on Street Fighter 3 Third Strike? And by the way, we have not played Third Strike yet. We're just going to talk about, in this particular one, why we want to buy it from what we've seen of gameplay and etc.
Yeah, okay. So, Third Strike actually came, it released on the Dreamcast, right, DKG?
Yeah, I believe it did, yes.
Okay, on the Dreamcast. And I don't have a Dreamcast, but DKG has, so I think you're planning on that being your next Dreamcast game?
Either that or the first Marvel vs. Capcom, yes.
Okay, yeah, okay. So, he might be planning on picking that up, but we both have seen gameplay and we know a little bit about it. So, this isn't off topic because I'm still going to talk about it, but go on Google, on Chrome, and type in Justin Wong or just type in Street Fighter 3, Third Strike, Justin Wong versus Diago, and watch that clip. At first, it might just seem like a regular clip of a tournament of, Third Strike, but no, wait until the end. That game has a mechanic called the parry system, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like a blocking mechanic, and so he had no health. And I'm not going to explain anymore, not going to spoil it. He just went hardcore. Okay, so this game is pretty much like the Melee of Street Fighter, because Melee is pretty much considered to be the best Smash game of the Smash series. So this is like the best Street Fighter game for the Street Fighter series. This game is polished. The graphics still holds up to this day. They're still great graphics. It's fast-paced, like really fast-paced, like Turbo, like Turbo for the SNES. Like we're gonna be talking about that too, and it's just overall fantastic. I haven't obviously played it, so I don't have much to say about it. But the game is just polished. Everything about it, the animations and the character selection is actually like decently sized, right, DKG?
Yeah, it's a great amount of character variety, definitely.
Yeah, and there's like definitely a lot of characters that people wanted in the game, and I'm gonna let you talk about that, DKG, because I know you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, so
yeah,
I think in the first port, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone in the comments, but I believe in like the first iterations of Street Fighter 3, I don't think Ken and Ryu were in the game at all. The main protagonist, his name was Alex. And I think in the later reports, like on the PS3, they added Ken and Ryu and Akuma and stuff. But in general, it had the most diverse character selection. I mean, it had this weird monster thing from the Illuminati named 12. It had the Illuminati leader, the final boss, aka the most broken final boss. Like, I mean, not broken, sorry if I said the wrong word, but as of powers, because canonly, Gil, the leader of the Illuminati, seems like the most powerful Street Fighter villain there is today, as of, like, canon-wise. Not gameplay-wise, but who else? It has Q, aka the most, like, requested person to return in a Street Fighter game. Definitely the most mysterious Street Fighter character there is to date. I forgot that guy's name. He's like this old man, but and oof, he kind of looks like Dalsim. But I'm sorry, I'm starting to get off topic a bit with the characters, but in general, the character diversity is there. It's amazing. There's someone for everybody in Third Strike. Kind of like how, well, basically that's all Street Fighter games, but I feel like Third Strike does it the best. And there's a boxer named Dudley, and really, from what I've seen, like Falcon Gaming said, the character animations look so polished and clean. And in general, Third Strike is a game I definitely want to pick up. Now, our next game that we're going to be talking about, a game that came out on the SNES and arcades, I guess, and I think Genesis even, but a game that Falcon Gaming's might get pretty soon, Street Fighter 2 Turbo Edition. Not normal edition, but the Turbo Edition.
Okay, yeah, guys. So, there's plenty of iterations of Street Fighter 2, but the best one is Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Now, when this game came out, it was said to be the best Street Fighter game. It's the Turbo, the Turbo version has the normal championship version, which is normal speed, and has Turbo. And Turbo, back then, is like, kind of on the, like, the speed is on the same par with, Third Strike. Now, the character selection is great for its time. The character sprites look fantastic. You never get bored of this game, especially if you have friends. It's just so much fun. Again, obviously it's not as good as Third Strike nowadays, but I don't know, DKG, would you consider this to be the second best Street Fighter game?
I mean, excuse me, definitely not to me. I mean, Street Fighter 2 Turbo is definitely a game I have had experience playing with a lot, but to me, more Alpha 3 or Alpha 2 is my second favorite Street Fighter game. But in general, I do consider Street Fighter 2 Turbo probably a top 5 Street Fighter game for me, and probably a top 5 fighting game of all time because of how revolutionary it was.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good word. Revolutionary, because when this came out, I mean, there was no fast Street Fighter games. They were all like pretty slow paced. And then when this came out, this was the last iteration of Street Fighter. It was like really fast paced.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything you have to say?
Yeah, Turbo, that's probably the second most Street Fighter game I've played, Street Fighter 2 Turbo. I mean, like he said, if you've never played Street Fighter 2 Turbo, it definitely is, like he said, an addicting game. I mean, you just want to get good at it like everyone else. And the same thing, I'm just basically copying what he said, but if you have friends with that game, I mean, we hosted a mini tournament with Street Fighter Alpha 2, and it's same applies to Street Fighter 2 Turbo. It's just an amazing game to play. I mean, I can't say anything else that differentiates it from the other games of the series. I mean, it's kind of the first game that kind of gave the series its standards, Street Fighter 2 Turbo. So I'm glad it did that. And in general, Street Fighter 2 Turbo is definitely one of the greatest fighting games of all time. And so next, we're going to be talking about a game we already talked about in our multiplayer thing, or multiplayer discussion, which is Street Fighter Alpha 2. Probably the Street Fighter game we've all played the most. So Falcon Gaming, what do you have to say again about the beloved Street Fighter Alpha 2?
Okay, so this game, personally, I haven't played Street Fighter 2 Turbo, but I think I can't put it better. But this game is like it's like any other Street Fighter game, but I don't know. I just feel like this goes the extra mile, if you know what I mean. Because again, do you know what year this came out on?
I'm gonna guesstimate, guys. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but I believe Alpha 2 came out in 1996.
1996, and Turbo came out before, like 1990.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not sure when Turbo came out. We'll if we get it wrong, guys, we'll just post in the comments or the description the real dates they came out.
Yeah, guys, but honestly, I don't know. But this game is a lot of fun. This is the first Street Fighter game that I ever started actually playing. This is the Street Fighter game that I put most time in. And I have played this with Robotnik and DKG, but I have not played it with Donkey Kazooie. But this game is, I don't know, man. I don't know how to put this because this is definitely the Street Fighter game that I put the most time in. And, I mean, like DKG said, I kind of am just repeating, but there is a character for everyone, just like at every other Street Fighter game. But I had Sagat, and I'm not sure where he is in the tier list or anything, but he has some powerful punches.
Yeah, Sagat was good in Alpha 2. Sorry if we're dead wrong and he's crap in the tier list. I don't know if he is, but from what we could tell, Sagat was pretty good in that game.
Yeah. And you, DKG, was a Ken and Ryu, and what was that fat guy that Robotnik man? What's his name?
He wasn't fat. What? You mean Katana? Yeah, Robotnik Gaming was Katana.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're right. He isn't fat. Okay, yeah, but.
And Robotnik Gaming used Dalsim.
Yeah, he used Dalsim during the end, and me and Robotnik's matches were actually like really close. We're definitely on par in that game. And DKG would he would easily take us on and beat us. But there's just, I don't know, you have to practice to get good at that game, just like every other Street Fighter game. But there's not anything really bad I can say about it. What about you, DKG?
Now, for the console ports, I am aware Street Fighter Alpha is a bit slower. But I am aware, though, in the main ports, overall, Street Fighter Alpha 2 runs amazingly. I believe the SNES version might be the slowest version, but in general, overall, this game is beloved. I mean, Alpha 2, it's either between Alpha 2 and Alpha 3, between those two, which are always argued to be the favorites. In general, I love the Alpha counter system. I love everything about Alpha 2. Even though I have to admit, I haven't played it since the last time we all played in our little tournament we held in Robotnik Gaming's house. But in general, Alpha 2 definitely gave us one of the best memories. And so our next game we're going to be talking about, we would talk about Alpha 3 because that is considered like a top 5 Street Fighter game. But we haven't played it, and we haven't played Third Strike either, but we've seen like a mad ton of gameplay and coverage of Third Strike. With Alpha 3, we haven't really had that much time to see it, so forgive us, but we're not going to be talking about Alpha 3. But the next game we're going to be talking about is Marvel vs. Capcom 1.
Oh, Marvel vs. Capcom 1. I have honestly not seen one bit of gameplay of Marvel vs.
Well, I personally have played many hours of MVC1. MVC1, I definitely haven't played it longer than I've played MVC2, but from my personal experience with Marvel vs. Capcom 1, it's not as broken as MVC2, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I personally love how broken MVC2 is, but in a way, there is two characters, though, there that are completely busted. You could unlock Gold War Machine or Red Venom. Those are basically the cheat mode to always win. And in general, Marvel vs. Capcom 1, to me, was the cleanest looking Marvel vs. Capcom game. I mean, like everyone who plays the Marvel vs. Capcom series says, Marvel vs. Capcom 1 had the best looking backgrounds in the whole series because they actually made the background stuff of Marvel and Capcom. But in the later iteration, I should say, in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, they made the backgrounds just like these weird things that have nothing to do with Capcom and Marvel. But in general, Marvel vs. Capcom 1, I love the character selection. I'm glad they put Captain America, Spider-Man, Venom especially. I'm not sure. I think they do have Doctor Doom, but don't quote me on that. I don't believe MVC1 has him. I don't know. I need to go back to that game, but in general, I love Marvel vs. Capcom and everything it has. I believe all the Marvel vs. Capcom games, except the third one, in general, I believe those two games are the best Capcom fighting games of all time.
Yeah. So what's the next one?
Of course, Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Oof. Okay. I have played this game. And we did talk about this one in our multiplayer discussion, but holy crap is this game fun. I personally, when I started playing this game, I hated it. I didn't like it. When we would be like, you guys want to play Smash, Alpha 3, or Marvel vs. Capcom, I'd be like, Smash or Alpha 3. I mean, Alpha 2. Because I didn't like it. And then DKG told me that it's like the same exact controls. I didn't know this. He said, use the controls that you use for Alpha 2. So I did. And when I did that, I enjoyed the crap out of that game. And then when they would ask me, I'd be like, let's play MVC2, because this game is fun. It's a new type of. I think the MVC series was the first to do this 3 characters, and each person chooses 3 characters, and you got a full bar of health, and you can switch whenever you want. Now that was revolutionary too, because I think MVC is still the only one that has put that into major consideration.
Well, I think they did the assist system in I think Street Fighter versus Tekken, which came out only a couple years ago. I think they brought it back.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's true. I forgot about that one. Yeah. But that I don't know how would you describe that?
Like that battle system where you choose 3 characters.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun. And personally, don't call me a cheater, but I wasn't good at this game. I use Sentinel, Storm, and I use
Magneto.
And then I switched Storm for
Who did
War
you?
Machine.
Oh, you.
Yeah, I did. And that game was fun. I don't know what else to say about it. What's it called when you it's like the final Smash in Super Smash Brothers.
Oh, the hyper combos.
The hyper combo, yeah. The combos in that game are crazy.
Yeah, you could get to almost 200 to maybe even 300 combo hits in that game.
Exactly, the combos in that game are crazy. And then if you end it off with a hyper combo, oh my gosh, it's I don't know, man. I don't know how to explain it, but if you were watching a game at a tournament and someone did a crazy combo, the crowd would go hype. I mean, I don't know. It was definitely. It's still considered to be the best MVC game, right?
Yeah, Marvel vs. Capcom by far is considered the best in the series.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you have to say, DKG?
Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I mean, overall, other than the Smash titles, is probably the fighting game I put the most hours into. I mean, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 to me is definitely better than any Street Fighter, and I'm sorry if I offend any Street Fighter fans, but I have to say the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is just amazing. I know it's a lot unbalanced, but in general, there's a reason why people praise this game so much. I mean, I love the character selection, even though there's a bit too many X-Men. I mean, there's even 2 Wolverines, but in general, I love all the character selections. I mean, even Roll from Mega Man's sister made the game. Almost everyone made the game. Bison made the game. Cammy made the game. Chun-Li made the game. Ryu, Ken, let's see, 2 Wolverines, Cable from X-Men, what's his name again? Cyclops, Psylocke, Storm, Magneto, Juggernaut, Sabretooth, Captain America, Doctor Doom, Venom. I mean, this game has literally everyone you could possibly want. I still say to this day, this game has the greatest character diversity out of any fighting game in history. I mean, there's someone literally for everyone, more than the Street Fighter games to me. So I believe Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is probably the best fighting game that Capcom has ever made. And let's see, I guess, you know what? I guess we can end it here, and we'll talk. Well, we can make a part 2 to this if we ever have more games we want to talk about. But in general, what do you feel about the whole Capcom and their legendary 2D fighting lineup?
Wait, sorry, could you repeat that? You kind of broke up there, DKG.
How do you feel about Capcom and their legendary 2D fighting game lineup?
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, they don't make the games today like they used to before. Holy crap, were they good back in the day. I mean, I'm not saying Smash isn't hardcore, because Melee is pretty hardcore, but each game that Capcom put out back in the day, it was a pretty hard game. It was a game that you had to actually put in a lot of time to actually get good at it and then enjoy when you beat someone, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know, like they were so good. Like Square on the SNES at making RPGs, they were good at. Capcom was good at making hardcore fighting games in that time, and I don't know. That's all I have to say. But props to Capcom because they definitely made some of the best fighting games of all time.
Now, I have an idea. We will do a part 2 of this because we missed some games like X-Men vs. Street Fighter for the Sega Saturn, Marvel Superheroes for the Sega Saturn, all made by Capcom. So we'll talk about those. We'll see gameplay and stuff and study them hardcore, and then we'll talk about those games in a part 2. So hope you guys enjoyed the discussion, and see you guys later.